At many speaking engagements, I've referred to the words of Albert E.N. Gray and his speech, The Common Denominator of Success. Years of experience as a successful executive helped Mr. Gray to find answers to the questions you've probably asked yourself. Questions like, how can I avoid failure in this new career? How can I manage to succeed in my interesting new profession? Mr. Gray crystallized his thoughts about these common but important doubts that we all experience at some time during our lives, and he incorporated them into a speech called The Common Denominator of Success. Because his thoughts have importance for every thinking person, I want to share them with you now. I've taken the liberty of substituting a few phrases to help each of us relate to Mr. Gray's remarkable message more personally. Mr. Gray said, several years ago, I was brought face to face with the very disturbing realization that I was trying to supervise and direct the efforts of a large number of people who were trying to achieve success without knowing myself what the secret of success really was. And that naturally brought me face to face with the further realization that regardless of what other knowledge I might have brought to my job, I was definitely lacking in the most important knowledge of all. Of course, like most of us, I've been brought up on the popular belief that the secret of success is hard work. But I'd seen so many men work hard without succeeding, and so many men succeed without working hard, that I'd become convinced that hard work was not the real secret, even though in most cases it might be one of the requirements. And so I set out on a voyage of discovery which carried me through biographies and autobiographies and all sorts of dissertations on success and the lives of successful men and women, until I finally reached the point at which I realized that the secret I was trying to discover lay not only in what people did, but also in what made them do it. I realized further that the secret for which I was searching must not only apply to every definition of success, but since it must apply to everyone to whom it was offered, it must also apply to everyone who had ever been successful. In short, I was looking for the common denominator of success. And because that's exactly what I was looking for, that's exactly what I found. But this common denominator of success is so big, so powerful, and so vitally important to your future and mine that I'm not going to make a speech about it. I'm just going to lay it on the line in words of one syllable, so simple that anybody can understand them. The common denominator of success, the secret of success of every person who has ever been successful, lies in the fact that he formed the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. Now, it's just as true as it sounds, and it's just as simple as it seems. You can hold it up to the light, you can put it to the acid test, and you can kick it around until it's worn out. But when you're all through with it, it will still be the common denominator of success, whether we like it or not. It will still explain why people have gone into a business or profession with every apparent qualification for success, and have been nothing but disappointing failures, while others have achieved outstanding success in spite of many obvious handicaps. And since it will also explain your future, it would seem to me a mighty good idea for you to use it in determining just what sort of a future you're going to have. In other words, let's take this big, all-embracing secret and boil it down to fit you. If the secret of success lies in forming the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do, let's start the boiling down process by determining what are the things that failures don't like to do. The things that failures don't like to do are the very things that you and I and other human beings, including successful people, naturally don't like to do. In other words, we've got to realize right from the start that success is something which is achieved by the minority of persons and is therefore unnatural, and not to be achieved by following our natural likes and dislikes, nor by being guided by our natural preferences and prejudices. The things that failures don't like to do in general are too many and too obvious for us to discuss them here, and so since our success and every endeavor lies in our ability to persuade others to do what we'd like them to do, let's move on to a discussion of the things we don't like to do. Now here too, the things we don't like to do are too many to permit a specific discussion, but I think they can all be disposed of by saying that they all emanate from one basic dislike common to all of us. We don't like to talk to people about something they might not want to talk about. Any reluctance to approach someone to suggest a change in his activity, to persuade him to take a new approach, is caused by this one basic dislike. Perhaps you wondered what's behind this peculiar lack of welcome on the part of those we're trying to persuade. Isn't it due to the fact that our prospects are human too? And isn't it true that the average human being is highly resistant to change, even when it's for his own improvement, and is therefore prone to escape our efforts to persuade him to do something he thinks he doesn't want to do by striking at the most important weakness we possess, namely our desire to be appreciated? Perhaps you've been discouraged by a feeling that you were born subject to certain dislikes peculiar to you, with which successful people are not afflicted. Perhaps you've wondered why it is that those who accomplish most seem to like to do the things that you don't like to do. They don't. And I think this is the most important and encouraging statement I've ever offered to any person.